Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm a sewing specialist here at Fons Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, we're going to cover the quilt called Puppy Love. If you'd like to purchase this pet, please visit our website. We're going to be working with pre-cut 2.5-inch strips. The quilt you see behind me has an interior border and then the outer border, and then it goes back to a blue for the binding. So those pieces are added in to the pre-cut strips. Now when you're working with pre-cuts, when you're working with the strips like these, you might want to take a lint roller and roll over them and pick up the loose lint, otherwise you may be wearing it in your sewing room. So both sides real quickly and take the most loose pieces, and then you can open up your strips and get to work. We're going to be cutting pieces from those 2.5-inch strips. And if you look at the quilt or even the sample you see here on the sewing center, there are 4 pieces that are stacked to create that kind of zigzag little pattern. And so we're going to be needing 4 pieces that are identically cut from the same strip. So follow your instructions for how many pieces off of each strip that you're going to need. And then you may also want to let me pull the strip out of here so we can cut on it. You're also may want to be using a design wall, because if you look at the design behind me, it's kind of planned where those are going to be, you're going to create rows and then they're going to be stacked on top of each other. So you may want to use a design wall to help you in the overall plan of your quilt. You could do it random, but you wouldn't get quite the dynamic look of the quilt where there are 4 that are matching, one on top of the other, almost like an accordion fold. And it's a really fun design and easy to put together. So we've got a strip here that we can cut from. Now we're going to be using just a regular cutting ruler. It has a 60-degree line on. Almost all the rulers out there produced for quilters have the 45, a 90, and or a 30, 45, and then 60-degree line. We don't always reference those, but in this quilt we are going to be using it. And I've used a little bit of glow line tape, which we have on our website that you could purchase. It's a great way to mark your ruler so you stay in reference to the right angle that you're going to be using, that 60-degree angle, and the width of the strip you actually need to cut. It's kind of a little reminder, and you can see through it, but it also comes in different colors, so depending on what color fabric you're working on. So I've then lined up that we're going to be using 3.5-inch pieces off of our strip, and we're going to be using that 60-degree line. So I can then slide this up out of the way. We're going to use that 60-degree line along the outer edge of our strip. I'm going to need a 3.5-inch cut piece. I just put a short piece there just to remind myself, make sure that I have enough of the strip underneath there to get my piece. I don't need to waste a lot, but I just have to have reference to it. So I can line that up, make my first cut. Now I have pieces stacked together here, and I'll show you in a minute why we want them that way. Now again, line up the bottom of the strip. I twirled the piece around, line that up with the outer edge there, the pinked edge on this strip. The 3.5-inch line there, my reminder how wide these need to be. And then I can come in and take away my selvage edge. Now, you're going to want to cut 4 that are identical, so or 4 that are of the matching fabric. So I've got 2 here, and then I would just simply go in and continue cutting down the piece here. I think that you may need 8, I believe, from each strip, but reference your pattern for that. And then you're going to be thinking about what those look like. Remember, we had these paired, so we cut 2 at a time. And I can then position my pieces to create that V. I'll just make it just like the one there. See how they open up and create that shape that you're looking for? But we're not going to be constructing pieces this way. We're going to construct rows this direction. But we want to just make sure that you have mirror image. So if you cut 2 at a time, that's the fastest way to create the pieces you need. Then I've got more pieces here already cut, so we can talk about how those rows, those narrow rows, go together. So I have got one like this. These cute little puppy prints. We've got ones with large design. I've got one with a little bit smaller design. Let's talk about how we place these together, because when you go to overlap these to seam them together, you're going to have a dog ear appropriate for a puppy quilt. I catch the fun in that. But we're going to have a triangle here that extends and a triangle here that extends. Now you should have about 1/4 of an inch from this edge, from this cut edge here, over to where they intersect, and that means they're placed properly. If it's a ways to your sewing machine, you can put a pin in. Sometimes I just put one there so I don't shift it out of the way or out of place when I get to the sewing machine, so then it's ready to sew. Right into that V of where the two pieces intersect is where your needle should be going down. And then you can take your pin out once you've begun your seam and to the other side. This is where you're going to see where your design wall of keeping these in order, putting up each strip as you go, so that when you open this up and press to one side, then you would be ready to stack the next piece on, put it on the design wall, and create the next row that goes up next to it. So you can do 4 at a time, creating your rows for puppy love. The other thing that you'll have to think about is that, say this is a portion of the quilt. It's longer in the middle in our imaginations, but these are the left and the right borders of the quilt. You'll notice that they're not straight. What you're going to need to do is take a ruler and straighten off, line up with one of your seam lines here. You can use a longer ruler on a larger piece, but make sure that you're creating a right angle so you clean up both the left and the right side of your quilt. Add your inner and outer borders, and you've created the quilt puppy love. If you'd like to see more of our Quilting Quickly tutorials, please visit our website. Thanks for joining me today.